into reader view. This is really interesting. And also has it contains information that I didn't know, which is excellent. I love learning a new thing. I love learning. Do you like learning? One for learning. Two if you hate learning. Two if you fucking despise learning. 12. Does it mean you love and hate? Is that what I'm getting? Okay. China-Africa ties at 70. Path to a shared dream of modernization. This is a photo from the Africa Day of Cultural Festival in Beijing, China, May 23, 2026. Lovely. Lovely. As Chinese President Xi Jinping and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi exchanged congratulatory messages on Saturday to mark the 70th anniversary of China-Egypt ties, the occasion also highlighted a broader milestone: 7 decades of China-African relations. She noted that over the past 70 years, China-Egypt relations have become a model of amity, solidarity, and cooperation among developing countries, as well as a benchmark for cooperation between China and Arab states, between China and Africa. Sorry, and between China and Africa. Um, I think you all might be on the list. Yeah. You all might be a little suspect of China working with CC, right? Article's off to maybe not the strongest foot. Not the strongest opening. It gets better, prompts me. Um it's notable that Egypt is one of the only ones that's not in like the trade cooperative officially with China. Um like every other African nation that works with China is in it. So they do have like a particularly special relationship. And it's not um oh, also Egypt isn't party to AFRICOM, which is interesting. It's kind of non-aligned, you may say, in some ways. Mm. A lot less suspect of China than I was a few years back. A lot less corrupt than UK, even if it's far from perfect. I don't think it's corrupt at all, really. And this article like really helps explain that. Let me continue. Today, China-Africa relations have evolved from a friendship forged in shared struggles into a dynamic partnership dedicated to development, modernization, and the rise of the global South. Capital G, capital S, Global South. Corruption gets rooted out real quick, yes. From solidarity to strategic partnership. The foundations of China-Africa friendship were laid during a period of profound political change. From the 1950s to the 1970s, China firmly supported African countries in their struggles for national independence and liberation. African nations, in turn, played a decisive role in restoring the lawful seat of the People's Republic of China at the United Nations in 1971. Of the 76 votes cast in favor of the resolution, 26 came from African countries, laying a strong foundation for China-African China-Africa Mutual Trust. Earlier this year, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited Africa, continuing a 36-year tradition of making the continent a destination of China's foreign minister's first overseas trip each year, highlighting the importance of China-Africa relations. Over the past 2 decades, China-Africa cooperation has expanded rapidly. Hold on. Global South proper noun. Yeah. The establishment of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, in 2000 provided an institutional framework for cooperation, while China's Africa policy of sincerity, real results, amity, and good faith further guided bilateral relations. In 2015, the two sides elevated their ties to a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership and launched the 10 cooperation plans, setting a strong foundation for rapid modernization across the African continent. At the 2024 FOCAC summit, China and Africa further upgraded their relationship to an all-weather community with a shared future for a new era. China also expanded duty-free access from 33 African countries to all 53 African countries, with diplomatic ties by 2025, becoming the first major economy to grant unilateral zero tariff treatment across all product categories to every African country with which it has diplomatic relations. Zero tariffs. Zero tariffs. Well, it's kind of the opposite of like what the West does. You know what I mean? Like threatening people with tariffs and IMF stipulations. And it does get better. Humphrey Moshi, a prominent Tanzanian economist, described China-Africa cooperation as a significant example of global South solidarity. He said such solidarity helps transform developing countries from passive participants into active shapers of international rules. Bit of Juche, isn't it? A little bit of Juche in there, isn't it? Advancing modernization through practical cooperation. While political trust forms the foundation of China-Africa relations, economic cooperation has become both the stabilizer and growth engine of the partnership. According to data released by China's General Administration of Customs, China-Africa trade reached a record of 348 billion in 2025, up 17.7% from the previous year, with China remaining Africa's largest trading partner for the 17th consecutive year. The momentum has continued into 2026. In the first quarter alone, China's trade with African countries totaled 646.56 billion yuan, or 92.2 billion dollars, a year-on-year increase of 23.7%. God damn. God, these increases are pretty high. I'm no economist, but the increases seem robust. At the same time, the Belt and Road Initiative has reshaped connectivity across the continent by upgrading the railway system with projects such as the Tazara Railway and the Mombasa-Nairobi Standards Gauge Railway, which are flagship projects that set examples for high-quality Belt and Road cooperation between China and Africa. Excellent. Trains! Trains! IMF for gangsters. Just in better suits, yes. We were going to move past the archaic way of thinking. Yeah, hopefully. hopefully people, I think, are gaining more and more consciousness, and it's easier to educate people. Okay. According to China's foreign ministry, China has signed debt relief projects or reached debt relief understandings with 19 African countries as of 2023, making it the largest contributor to debt service suspension efforts under the G20 framework. Meanwhile, China has trained tens of thousands of African professionals through scholarships, vocational training, and educational exchange programs. As of June 2025, China has established 17 Luban workshops across 15 African countries, while the China Africa University Cooperation Plan, a higher education initiative pairing Chinese universities with African institutions, has connected 114 higher education institutions. That's so cool. Wow. Education? Imagine. Paul Frimpong, Executive Director and Senior Research Fellow of the Africa-China Center for Policy and Advisory, said China's contribution to Africa's development is increasingly visible. Quote, China's sharing of knowledge, skills, and experience in sectors such as manufacturing and green energy is having a profound impact on Africa's journey towards modernization and self-reliance, end quote, he added. Here's that link if you want that. Thank you for the lurk. Have good lurk. Ba, ba, ba. Okay. Also from CGTN. About Iran. This is like, I think, the most accurate snapshot of what is going on most recently. This is from today, question mark? Wait, let me see the date. 30 May, yes, today. Trump delays final determination, quote unquote, on Iran deal as Tehran pushes back key U.S. claims. Again, the U.S. lying? Imagine. I know, everyone's shocked. Shocked and appalled. U.S. President Donald Trump has yet to make a quote unquote final determination on a potential agreement with Iran. While Tehran has pushed back against several elements of the deal outlined by the U.S. leader, highlighting continuing divisions between the two sides. In a social media post on Friday, Trump set out what he described as conditions for an agreement with Iran, saying Tehran must commit to never attaining a nuclear weapon. Sure. Sure, dude. Doctor Who could open the strait just needs to take to Trump back before he closed it. Sure. Hi comes to politics. Hello. Everyone go follow. Da, 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 da. In a social media post on Friday, Trump set out what he described as conditions for an agreement with Iran, saying Tehran must never commit to never attaining a nuclear weapon. Not happening. I think not happening now more than ever. They already did have a fatwa against having a nuke, but now you've installed you've installed a new Ayatollah Khomeini who does maybe want that. I mean, he hasn't signaled that, but he hasn't signaled that he doesn't want that. Oh. He also called for the immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz to unrestricted shipping, the removal of any naval mines in the waterway, and the destruction of Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles under U.S., Iranian, and International Atomic Energy Agency coordination. They were already coordinating with... Do not come. They were already coordinating with the IAEA. Trump further said that no financial compensation or investment-related arrangements would proceed until further notice, and announced that he would meet with his national security team at the White House to make a final determination. However, the anticipated decision did not materialize. Imagine. Later on Friday, a senior U.S. official speaking on conditions of anonymity said Trump's roughly 2-hour meeting with advisors ended without a final decision on the proposed agreement. Oy vey. At the same time, Washington continued to increase pressure in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Central Command warned on Friday that it would not conduct military operations near the strategic waterway and could target vessels involved in laying or supporting naval mines.
Hassan, shut up.
Fuck's sake. Fuck's sake, dude. Iran never wanted to get a nuke in the first place, right? Yes. Tehran seems to be doing fine without nukes. No midnight helicopter raids there, yeah. Indeed. In a notice, the command alleged that Iran was continuing efforts to disrupt mine clearing operations and safe navigation in the strait. It said any vessel found participating in mine laying activities could become a military target. U.S. forces also said maritime blockade measures against Iran remain in place and have caused 115 commercial vessels to alter their routes as of May 29. Oh no. Oh no. Not the commercial vessels. My father was a commercial vessel. A mixture of truth and lies. Iran, however, disputed key elements of Trump's account. Iran's semi-official Fars news agency, citing informed sources, described Trump's remarks as a mixture of truth and lies. The agency said a draft agreement is currently in the final stages of Iran's internal review process and that no final decision has yet been made. According to the report, neither Trump's demand that the Strait of Hormuz remain open without tolls nor any requirement to eliminate Iran's nuclear materials appeared in the draft text. Imagine. I'm a second-generation commercial vessel. Commercial vessel is what they called me in college. The whole oil industry is terrified of advances in alternate power production, particularly nuclear at present, and Iran was never doing anything else nuclear. Right, yeah. It's the same as like trying to demonize all of the nuclear projects across China to fucking Russia to fucking anywhere, really. You can't do that. You can't do that. Farce added that one of the most important provisions omitted from Trump's description is Iran's demand for the release of $12 billion in frozen Iranian assets. Under the draft agreement, Tehran would not enter any subsequent phase of negotiations until those funds are unfrozen. Another key clause purportedly calls for a comprehensive ceasefire in Lebanon. That has never been that's never been negotiable for Iran. And like I don't know how people can say that Iran hasn't adequately supported the resistance. Like, have you not been paying attention? Because this is not the first time, also, but they have not ceded on Lebanon's ceasefire being a stipulation at any point. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baghei also emphasized that no agreement has been finalized. In an interview with state broadcaster IRB on Friday, he said message exchanges between Tehran and Washington were continuing and stressed that Iran's immediate focus remains on ending the war. We have no talks on details of the issues pertaining to Iran's uranium enrichment and enriched uranium at this stage, he said. Iranian officials also reiterated Tehran's position on the Strait of Hormuz. Ebrahim Rezai, spokesman for the Iranian parliament's National Security and Foreign Policy Committee, said on social media that Iran's control over the strait is an internationally recognized fact. He argued that vessels can transit the waterway after obtaining authorization, paying relevant fees, and receiving guidance from the Iranian Navy. Bagheri likewise stressed the responsibilities of Iran and Oman as coastal states overseeing the strategic passage, saying Iran and Oman, as two responsible countries, must adopt appropriate mechanisms to safeguard their interests and security while ensuring the safety of international shipping. The latest exchanges follow reports on Thursday that U.S. and Iranian negotiators had agreed on a memorandum of understanding aimed at extending the ceasefire and launching talks on Iran's nuclear program. However, the memorandum had not been received. Had not received Trump's final approval, and Iran had not formally accepted it. Yeah, no one's accepting either side's terms, and this is not really a development so much as like an affirmation that Iran is not budging and they don't have to. Analysts say that the repeated back and forth over the proposed memorandum reflects less a communication breakdown than a strategy of deliberate ambiguity by both sides. Washington seeks to project flexibility and portray Tehran as the party delaying progress, while Iran aims to demonstrate that it is not negotiating under pressure and that key issues remain open for discussion. Observers expect this strategic maneuvering to continue until any final agreement is reached. Yeah. I mean, Iran really has all the cards, right? They repeatedly said any ceasefire talks would include Lebanon and Israel and has continued its campaign of tyranny anyways. So what? Oh, and Israel has continued its campaign of tyranny anyways. Yeah, of course. Of course. It was never going to stop. It was never going to stop. Uh, as always with Israel, it's always like, you cease, we fire.